over. Cope action last night on FS1. Argentina up 1-0 on Canada. Messi sends a perfectly weighted pass to Martinez, goes 5-hole on the keeper. Argentina go on to win 2-0, back in action on Tuesday against Chile. Wonderful. Top of the fifth, part of a great night on Fox.
Yes.
Brookwood Field, Giants, Cardinals. The baseball crew showing some cool tech, making it look like you're watching the game in 1954. It was an awesome broadcast from start to finish. Shout out to my friend Bob Kendrick, president of the Negro League Museum in Kansas City, who was part of it. We'll have more on this later in the show. Cardinals would go on to win 6-5. Wonderful. Royals A's tied 2-2, top 8. Bang!
How did Royals highlight get in here?
Oh, I don't know. Just because the best young player in the whole sport hit a bomb to end a losing streak. Bobby Witt Jr. Royals go on to snap 3-2.
One of the fastest guys
go on to
in the
win
league.
3-2. The fastest guy in the league per the numbers. Wonderful. 79th minute. Ukraine-Slovakia tied at 1. Shaparenka to Yaremchuk with an amazing first touch finich. That'd be the deciding goal for Ukraine in a 2-1 final. Watch it again.
Nice.
Good control.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
More Euros all weekend on FS1 and Fox. Now to Joe Burrow. Connor Orr, our friend from Sports Illustrated. 100 bold predictions this year. He likes Joe Burrow for MVP, predicting he'll win the award and writing. The Bengals quarterback will finally, officially be back amid Cincinnati Super Bowl run. That was part of his predictions too. My goodness gracious. Burrow will post 4,700 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, en route to an AFC North title. Brew, could you see Joe Burrow winning league MVP?
Sure. He's not my number one favorite. But, yeah, in those numbers, that's about what he does, about 35 touchdowns when he's healthy. I'm sure he's got a chip on his shoulder because even though he's still recognized as a top quarterback, it feels like he's kind of off the radar.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough
right
rushing
now.
touchdowns like Josh Allen.
Or how about enough games played? I mean, he didn't hurt too much. So I think he comes back hard, and, you know, there are going to be some changes next year. And so, or next season after this one. So I think he's looking forward to having a great year. But I think Mahomes should be the favorite. I think Allen should be second. Lamar just winning it. He's going to be behind him. CJ probably behind Burrow. McCaffrey and Purdy cancel each other out.
Oh, they cancel each other out.
I mean,
what do you mean?
When you got two MVP candidates on the same
it drops
team,
them down the list.
They cancel each other out.
Brew is the fakest Brock Purdy fan.
No, I love
Brew
Purdy.
just disagrees with me on Purdy, but he actually agrees with me.
Just because I like Purdy, think he's very good, you want me to put him in the top 10.
Well, I mean, you said he was an MVP candidate last year and think he'll be better this year, but let's say on Burrow. So here's Danny, my answer is no. And that is despite the fact I think Burrow's second best quarterback in the league, and it's because I think we've ruined the MVP award. I think it is now because last year, if you remember, it was just like, oh, this guy's the leader, but then this week on Sunday Night Football, he could lose it to this guy, and it became
last year was bad.
It became something of who has the best record, who's their quarterback, and Lamar ends up winning it, which is fine. It felt to me but I just don't think I don't think the Bengals are going to have a good enough record for Burrow to be eligible in the eyes of the sports media. So I think he could put up those numbers, Brew, but I think because of the division and because I think that no one in that division is winning more than 11 games max and maybe 10 because they beat each other up, that none of those guys.
But he's got the narrative.
But that's what would allow him to do it if he, instead of winning 10 or 11, he actually did get to 13 in that tough division. Because if he plays, they win and he puts up MVP-esque numbers. He's done it twice. These are the numbers. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. Both of those seasons.
When he's healthy, that's what he does.
Right. I mean, he's played 4 years. He's been healthy twice. Those numbers are in the MVP conversation, and his team wins a bunch of games. So I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility that he plays 17 games, has a career statistically, they win 12 games, and he's the MVP.
And you wouldn't agree that he has a narrative? I think Mahomes has a narrative, too, if he has a great numbers. But Burrow's got a narrative.
I think he definitely has a narrative. And again, I've been calling him the second best quarterback in the league for 3 years.
Yeah.
I just think that the award became really touched too hard by the quarterback wins stuff. And I don't think the Bengals are going to – I think 10 wins could be a good season given their schedule, given their division. And I don't think you win MVP
I think you're saying that because Purdy was in it.
That's part of it.
His numbers are great, too, though. His numbers are great.
Speaking of future, exactly what it sounds. We all already knew he was going to opt out.
Right.
The question is, when after he opts out, will he end up re-signing with the Lakers? Brew, do you think there is any chance LeBron is leaving Los Angeles?
I won't say none, but I think 2%. I think it's small. But I will, and the reason I go 2%, maybe I should go a little higher. And LeBron, I covered a lot of his free agencies. Mm-hmm. He always plays it close to the vest. Yeah. All right, so no matter what, and that's why, like when Cleveland, and that was his first one, or first one when he left. He did not, they weren't sure, does LeBron still want Mike Brown? Does he want Mike Brown fired? They got no word from LeBron, all right? He just stayed out of it, and I think that's what he did with this. But he is, like even when he's texting with Dan Hurley, he's saying, if I'm there. So that makes you think, are the wheels turning in his head? And I'll say this, we know he's not going to Phoenix. Rich Paul is on the record. He's not going to Phoenix for the minimum.
Yeah.
Probably not going anywhere for the minimum.
Well, right. And that takes out almost all the contenders, almost all of them, all right? You got Philly, which has the cap room, makes great sense basketball-wise.
Yeah.
All right? But I don't see that necessarily happening. Then I'm going to throw out a few other teams. Miami, I don't think they have the trade. They'd have to make a trade. Yeah. I don't think they have the pieces, all right, because they'd have to give up a lot of their pieces that LeBron would want to play with. Cleveland has the pieces because Darius Garland. The Knicks is the one to me because if LeBron wants to really make a splash, and look, we know he cares about the GOAT conversation. He can say he doesn't, but he cares about it.
This week with that fraudulent Defensive Player of the Year award
I don't
being taken from Michael Jordan.
I'm not sure. I still got to look through the film.
I was telling you.
I'll choose my sources.
The door's a little more wide open, but go ahead.
But look, real talk. LeBron's, now forget all, some players were with Derek Jeter, with one team their whole career, Kobe Bryant.
That ain't Bron.
That's not Bron. He's been around. Lean into it if you want. And if he went to New York, you lead if you won a championship there, 4 championships for 4 different teams, and you went all of a sudden, if you lead New York to the first title in 50-some-odd years, you got the New York media on your side in the GOAT debate.
Absolutely.
And so if he wants to do this, and there are trades that make sense for the Lakers.
Right. So there's
Julius Randle and whoever,
there's
Josh
trades
Hart, Mitchell Robinson.
You wouldn't necessarily have to give up. If LeBron, like you said, Miami, do they have it? If LeBron's threatening to leave for nothing, then all of a sudden it doesn't really have to be a fair one-for-one trade.
Right, you get 40 cents on the dollar instead of the whole thing just to get something instead of nothing. I mean, I think he's going back to L.A., but if he does go back to L.A., you said it's 2% that he leaves. Exactly. He's not winning.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's probably 2% that they win a title in L.A. I know the odds would say it's a little bit better than that.
Not much. They're 40-1.
But yeah, not much. So that's the part that'll make that interesting of, he's choosing, for whatever reason, happiness, weather, family, but it won't be a basketball reason.
So I'm just going to make, I think, a pretty common sense observation. There's a reason he has not publicly committed. And it is the only logical reason is trying to leverage to make sure the Lakers are making moves that show they have the urgency that he has. Well, no moves have yet been made, right? Now they haven't had an opportunity to yet other than the head coach search, which I think even if LeBron's fine with JJ, they kind of botched because they didn't get the guy they initially wanted. So whatever their first move of the offseason was, let's just say it didn't go swimmingly. The fact, until he publicly commits, that to me, if he's like, man, I hope we trade for a third star, whether that's smart or not. I hope that we, do this with our draft pick. I hope we bring these players back. If the reason he is not publicly committed is because there are things he wants the Lakers to do, then to me, logic only says if they don't do those things, he could leave. And I think that this idea that now that they've hired JJ, he's lock and stock back, he could just tell us. And it's not like they're going to lowball him on the contract. Right. Like, the leverage isn't about money. The leverage is about moves. So I think it's more than 2%. I don't think it's 20%. But I think it's more than 2%.
And look, if he were to leave, everybody's like, well, J.J. Redick, how would he feel? I know he wants to coach LeBron.
it would
but
probably
wouldn't
be a little relief.
Right. I mean, seriously, it wouldn't be championship or bust.
Right. For JJ's long-term coaching prospects, it wouldn't
Now
be the
you
worst thing
build.
to not
Absolutely.
have
It'd
all
be pretty
those options.
embarrassing for